This is my submission for Module 7, the one that deals with the MERN Stack. And this module was to show the workings of the back and the front using MongoDB, Express, Node, and React, and how they all work together. So first, I would like to start by opening the README, which contains all the instructions that go with this module. You have the setup instruction and what you need to run the code, and the command line which you're supposed to run to start the servers, and where it's hosted on the browser, and where also it's hosted, the server port that it is hosted on, alongside all other authentications. Likewise, I came across 2 projects with MERN templates which I found interesting. One was an e-commerce website, and I thought it was interesting in how they classified the different files of the e-commerce. It was a shopping website where people can buy things, buy clothes, put some of them on their wish lists, process the purchase, and I found that interesting because I had not come across anything like that before, or not looked at a stack like that before. The second one that I came across was a social media app. Again, coming from a point of having used a lot of social media, it was interesting to see the workings of that, what happens in the various user interaction, as well as the back end when people create profiles and when they like pictures and videos and all of that, and all the schemas that go through when they utilize it. It was actually quite interesting to observe and to learn the logic behind the posts and the likes and everything that goes on within a social media. The next was the assignments about React, React.js, and React Native, and all of that. All of those are contained in the README file. I will close this for now. And the next thing we were supposed to do is to work on the page title and the logo for the page title. So this is housed on the index.html page. What I did was to go here and change the icons and make sure that we have the rocket elevator icons. And that's what I did here. And if you go to the other pages, that is the wrong path, /create, not just create. And it persists here, and the employees persist there. And you are actually able to see, and also the icon is up here in the tab, and record elevators is there as well. That working came from, apart from the index.html, we're also able to see the working for that in the navbar, which is under the client components, and I'll scroll up a little bit under the navbar.jsx, where we create the navbar. And this has both the logo and the create employee tab, which persist in this create and update employee record page, and in the list agent list page as well. So they are permanently there, and when you create when you click the rocket elevators icon, it takes you back to the original navigation page. Likewise, more functionality for this is also held in the app.jsx, which is the component where the component for creating the main layout of the app is. So like in line 7, it imports the outlet and the navbar from other files within the project, and always shows the navbar and the outlet at the top, and then at the end of it exports this as a default app, exports the function as the default app. And this function is also exported, for example, to the main.jsx. And what happens in the main is that, number one, at the beginning we import all the libraries, the core React libraries, and also we, as you can see in line 7, we import the app from app.jsx, which helps us to be able to display all the routes that are going to be handled, that are being handled within this project. So in line 16, you can see the first route that is set up is the login route, which is at the root of it. And then there is the parent route. The parent element is up here, which gets, again, it's designed from the app.jsx, like we said, about the navbar at the top and the outlet. And anytime and then anytime from the roots you go to list or create or edit ID, it takes you to a different page. Likewise for unauthorized, but I put this outside of the app because I did not want the authorized page to have the navbar and the create new employees at the top. That's why I put it outside, so that the unauthorized page does not have the logo of the company in the first place. This I can display by showing what happens, like here in the navbar, because it was outside of the app, it only has the logo, which I styled just for this page. And also if we try to have an unauthorized page and go to it, as you can see, it does not have the top components for the the Rocket Elevators logo and the Create Employees logo. However, for the rest of the other pages, they persist at the top for both this and the list. Now going to creating of the agent list /list, this persists. This shows up in the front page, and also when we check our MongoDB, this is the list that persists here under agents, the agent list 19. That's where we get all that information from. And from this page, we are able to, using the actions on the right, we are able to edit. Like if we want to edit this person's, maybe let's say their fee, and we click on edit, and we come here to the fee, and we can able to change to 60,000, let's say, or 6,000. When we save that, when we reload, we can see that it actually does the edit. Likewise, for the same agent, when we choose to delete the agent, it's gone from here, the name was Brutus, and we refresh that page, and we go to the MongoDB, and whereas the previous agents who were there were 18, now when we check module, the agents were previously 19, and now that we've deleted, they're now 18. So the actions do persist from the front end to the back end. The logic that handles this falls in the record list on the front end, falls on the record list, which when we scroll all the way to the top here, basically it is a component that displays the list of agents in the table, and it helps us with the edit and delete functionality. And from line 7 here, this is what helps us to be able to render components in the table, and all that all the way to line 45. Then what happens, and this is number 47, is how we export the function that we create from this page, from this file, sorry. In line 51, once we have run the component, it's able to go to the back and fetch data from the back using this link, and updates the records. That is the functionality from line 51, the use effect. It goes to the back and gets the records. Next, the next function, it starts on line 67, which is the function that helps us to delete requests from the backend, where it goes, fetches the requests via this link and fetches via ID if you are using Postman, but for when we are on the front end, it doesn't have to use that because it's already linked, and it deletes and updates the user interface without needing to reload the page. Then from line 76 is how it goes through the records and returns the records per row in the component. And from line 89 is basically the user UI face and how the different components and the different parts of the table are rendered on the front end in the agent list. Likewise, another file that helps us along with the functions we have just had is the record function. The record.jsx also is a page for helping us to create and update employee records. And from line 4, you can see all the various parameters that it requires to be entered in the form, that it requires to be entered in the form. Then from line 18, basically what this function does is if they does not receive, this is the function that goes to check whether the record exists in our list, in our record list. And if it doesn't exist, if you are searching by ID, because the search is by ID, it navigates you back to list to show you that the record hasn't been found. And from function 44 is the one that allows you to update only one field at a time without necessarily touching the other fields. From line 51 is how it handles the submission that has been done. So if there's a new record, it uses the method post and goes to record and adds the data. And if you are just editing one field of the record that already exists, it uses the method patch, still goes in and edits the required sections, and after it is done, it redirects back to /list, basically taking you back to the original list to show the actions that have been done. From line 88 is how it renders the form. This is the UI and how it renders the form within the table. Another file, and this time on the back end, that handles all of this information that we are sending to the front end is the record.js. It defines, from the beginning, it defines the express route and the express router for handling all the information that we are using. And specifically what this record.js root folder does is to manage all the create, read, update, and delete operations for all the agents. In line 11, for example, it creates the root post, which is what we use for creating the login in the back end. And from this from this functionality from line 1234, basically it looks for the email and password in the request body and goes ahead to find the user by email. If it finds a user, then if it finds the user already exists via email, it tells you invalid email or the user already exists. And if you're able to log in and the user doesn't exist, you're able to log in, it gives you success here in line 28 and tells you login successful. Then the next function that it does is to fetch all data using a get request, fetch all data to be used at the front in the /list, sorry, when rendering the agents in the table. So the method is get to get all the agents from the MongoDB and be able to display them to the front. Then the next functionality it has is the when you want to get agent by ID, it's able to do that. Go retrieve agent from MongoDB by ID and display the agent. Next functionality it has is to display, to post when it's posting agent information that the next thing it does is the post when you're trying to create a new user ID. It imports this information from the schema of the agent. Here in line 69, it imports this information from the schema and tells you what is required in the body, which it renders also, as we have seen in this page, which is all rendered here. And it requires that it creates new agents from this document and then saves it to the MongoDB. The next functionality is the patch, where we are trying to basically edit or update a record. We are trying to update a record in the back. So it updates using any of this request, anything that is entered on the request body, in terms of whether it's the names, the emails of the region, and it calls the agent by ID, retrieves the agent, and is able to edit. What happens, which is what I showed earlier when we were editing the agent's fees, the first agent's fees, and that is how it goes and does it in the back end. This is the route that handles whatever we had done earlier in the back end. Same thing we have done earlier in the back end was the delete function, which is handled here in the record.js, where the agent is deleted by ID in the back end, but in the front end you can actually be able to delete just through the agent list page that we had seen earlier. Through the agent list page, sorry, that is a wrong path. It's through the agent list page. So this functionality, when it's this is what it is at the front end, but what handles it at the back end is this code. Likewise, there are agent schema that exist here, and this schema I had shown it being used here, for example, that the agent schema is being used here, and so it was created to be used here. The export here is agent, and the other one was user schema. I will close this. I'll bring this over here. The exported is user, and that is also used here, which we use. And the user schema was used for the login when it's not login, sorry, when a new agent is when someone is trying to log onto the website for the first time, it will request email and password, but it will also pick the names of the person who is logging in. This information also is able to persist in the MongoDB, which I created here. And this is a list of the users and the emails and password corresponding with the user schema. Lastly, for the login routes, I will close this and this. Lastly, for the login routes at the front end, this is the component that was created, the file that was created to handle the login. From line 5, we create and export, create the function login, and the user inputs their email and passwords, and the function for navigating is for this is to navigate the user to the right page. And the function for in line 10, for example, is to allow updates only to the specific part of the form and not the whole page. And from line 15 is when the functionality starts. The method used when creating a new logging in by the user is post, where at the front end they are trying to log in via this, logging in via that, and it is a post to the back end. So the email and the data is of the email and the password is sent to the back end, and if they are all correct, if the login fails, it is redirected to unauthorized, which I will display now, and if it works, it is directed to the list. This is a wrong password that I have input. When that happens, it is redirected to the unauthorized page. However, when the right password is entered, the page redirects to the agents list. And this is the logic that for the front end that handles that. And from line 36 is the UI and how this shows up on the page we have just seen. Not this page, this page. It's the UI for that. The unauthorized, basically this function was to show the to create the UI that shows in the unauthorized page. And that basically was the MERN stack that was for module, was done, what I did for module 7, and how the different parts all work together in the front end, the back end, connected to the database as well. And it has been quite interesting to learn all of this. Thank you.